In this video, we are going to be covering a light mech which is infamous to infantry forces and vehicles everywhere, though in truth it is one of the most vicious killers in all of Battletech against infantry, vehicles, and mechs alike. Today we are going to talk about this prolific, powerful design, and that is Argyle Technologies' Firestarter. A light mech weighing in at 35 tons, the Firestarter began its conceptual life in the minds of the designers at the Argyle Technologies of Skye in 2550 as being an indirect assault unit. It would see an original production run for centuries, spanning from 2550 itself through to 2776. And would again see new units walking off the assembly line due to orders from all the great houses after production was re-engaged during the Succession Wars. Firestarters would be produced by Argyle Technologies until its facilities were destroyed during the Third Succession War. The design was incredibly popular all the same, and production would eventually move to Coventry Metalworks simply because demand was frankly too high for replacement parts and new Battlemechs. It's not hard to see why it's deployed so commonly and with such popularity, with infantry and tank regiments often receiving FS9s to be attached to them for scouting purposes in dense terrain or for clearing out entrenched infantry in hostile environments. What makes the design so loved by Mechwarriors and formation leaders is that it is useful under almost all circumstances. It can act as a recon mech, is one of the best anti-infantry mechs. It is a superb anti-recon mech itself and can be used to hunt down and destroy enemy light elements. It is famous for its scorched earth tactics when particularly ruthless strategic commanders need it, and it is an effective harasser against mechs which are heavier than itself. The Firestarter would even be so popular that the Inner Sphere powers and designers would reimagine it into a 45-ton medium Omni-Mech during the Clan Invasion in the first wave of Inner Sphere Omni-Mechs. The primary model of the Firestarter that was produced throughout much of the design's life was the FS9-H, and it's fairly obvious as to why. It's powered by a 210 GM standard engine, giving it a maximum speed of 97.2 kilometers per hour, or 9 movement points in the tabletop game. It also has maximum jump jet capabilities, giving it the ability to leap up to 180 meters in a single bound, or 6 movement points in the tabletop game. The Firestarter has very standard speed and maneuverability for its era, though this is still faster than many of its peers in the approximate same weight range, such as the Valkyrie, Panther, and Urban Mech, and matches the speed of the Commando, Javelin, Wasp, and Stinger. Speed and maneuverability are one of the key pillars of the Firestarter's success, and this is one of the best means of harming its opposition as well as defending itself. The Firestarter only comes with 10 stock heatsinks, which can be an issue, though in reality this is typically not a major problem for the design when responsibly heat managed. The FS9 may not possess high-impact weaponry such as a PPC or AC-10, but it does possess a quantity of light weapons that put many other mechs to shame. For starters, it comes with 4 Purity L-Series flamers, or flamethrowers, which yield an intense ability to ignite structures, forests, vehicles, or infantry. In addition to this, these flamethrowers can be effective against mechs as well, pushing up their heat scores and potentially causing severe issues for enemy Battlemechs. In addition to this, it has 2 Depress RF machine guns, which are very useful if mechs decide to brawl against this design, and are immensely useful, again, at putting fire into enemy infantry formations, making it all the deadlier to them. Finally, it possesses 2 Magna Mark II medium lasers, giving it the ability to burn through or burn off armor on more heavily armored targets such as mechs or heavier vehicles. For protection, the Firestarter has a respectable 5.5 tons of armor, making it more armored than several of its medium mech counterparts. Overall, the Firestarter is one of the most impressive light mechs ever conceived. It's fast enough to skirmish or brawl with almost any mech, and is more armored than most other light mechs that may attempt to do the same. In addition to this, it has a deadly array of weapons, all of which have serious impacts on their opponent over time, as they either cripple light mechs or whittle down exposed or out of position mediums and heavies. The FS9H was in demand for the entirety of the Succession Wars because of its versatility and deadly nature. Vehicle crews are left stunned or burned to a crisp. Infantry hide at its approach, but cannot escape the horrific fires this monster will breathe onto them. Enemy light mechs fear skirmishing with this machine as their armor plating is eaten away by medium lasers and machine guns, and finally, mediums and heavies always keep an eye on this mech, lest it strike them from behind and begin the erosion of their fighting ability, or their total destruction. Like many popular mech designs, there are variants that permeate the various eras. Though the Firestarter began with the FS9-A, which used small lasers instead of machine guns and as a result had a minor heat problem, we will be discussing other units in greater detail. The FS9-M, nicknamed the Mirage, would appear in 2893 and fundamentally reimagines the Firestarter. Removing its flamethrowers, the FS9M would replace them with 2 small lasers and several tons of additional armor. This increases the mech's vehicle killing potential and dramatically increases its survivability, though it does come at the cost of heat. They are popular among Sky Rangers during the Succession Wars. This variant leans into the FS9's strengths against light and medium mechs in particular. Like many models, during the clan invasion, the Firestarter would receive a haphazard upgrade. The FS9-S is what came of this. It utilizes endo steel for its internal structure to save weight. It carries the same loadout of flamethrowers and medium lasers, but also possesses a small laser and anti-missile system, as well as a Beagle active probe. While this isn't the worst, it's not really much of an upgrade over the original design. Its cousin, the FS9-S1, would replace the Beagle active probe with a Guardian ECM. Overall, these designs, though not bad, are seldom a match for their clan counterparts, and often may end up struggling against things such as elementals. The final model we're going to talk about today is the FS9-M4. There would be several updates to the Mirage over the years, with the M4 being the final evolution so far of this design. It comes with 7 tons of armor overall. It utilizes endo steel to save weight and has 10 double heatsinks. One arm is completely outfitted with 3 flamethrowers, with the original M2 model, which it is based on, coming with 6 flamethrowers overall, though the M4 strips out half of these. With the remaining weight, it installs a single rotary AC2 in the left arm with 1 ton of ammunition. This is a very divergent design from its original intended purpose, though it does still maintain its flamethrowers to burn infantry to a crisp. The Firestarter is a mech which starts its journey very strong. The FS9A and FS9H, as well as the Mirage, performed exceptionally well during the Succession Wars, and would be used by every house to perform a myriad number of tasks, and perform them well. Many heavier mechs have found themselves overheated or suffering critical hits at the wrong time as a result of these impressive, fast, hard-hitting little mechs. This is, of course, also to say nothing of the pure horror the Firestarter unleashes upon infantry as it annihilates whole formations in the most horrifying way possible. Ironically, its weakness comes from later models. Against clan Battlemechs or other newer, more sophisticated designs, often the Firestarter, despite receiving new technologies, does not perform up to par with its stablemates. Despite multiple attempts to turn the Firestarter in a new direction, from the M4 to the unmentioned in this video so far S3, it really feels as though these mechs have missed the beat on what once made this mech so great. Though that is not to say these designs are without merit, it is to say that they are not as inspired as their precursors. All the same, in battlefields across the Inner Sphere, in any era of warfare, whether it be the Star League Civil War, the Succession Wars, or the Clan Invasion and beyond, there exists something which brings only fire and fury to the battlefield. And that is the Firestarter. Thank you for joining me here today. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. There is also a YouTube member program to support this channel as well, and I appreciate the support from YouTube members immensely. With that, I will catch all of you in the comments section below.